Orang Asli are the indigenous people of Peninsular Malaysia. Officially, there are 18 Orang Asli tribes, categorised under three main groups according to their different languages and customs: Semang, generally confined to the northern portion of the peninsula; Senowai, residing in the central region; Proto-Malay, in the southern region. The Semang and Senowai groups, being Austroasiatic-speaking, are the autochthonous peoples of the Malay Peninsula. The Proto-Malays, who speak Austronesian languages, migrated to the area between 2500 and 1500 BC. There is an Orang Asli museum at Gombak, about 25 kilometers north of Kuala Lumpur. History. Orang Asli kept to themselves until the first traders from India arrived in the first millennium AD. Living in the interior, they bartered inland products like resins, incense woods and feathers for salt, cloth and iron tools. The rise of the Malay Sultanates, coinciding with trade in Orang Asli slaves, forced the group to retreat further inland to avoid contact with outsiders. The arrival of British colonists brought further inroads in the lives of Orang Asli. They were targeted by Christian missionaries and became subjects of anthropological research. Slave raids into Orang Asli settlements were also quite common feature back in the 18th and 19th centuries. These slave raiders were mainly local Malays and Bataks, who considered the Orang Asli as kafirs, non-humans, savages and jungle beasts. The modus operandi was basically to swoop down a settlement and then kill off all the adult men. Women and children were captured alive as they are easier to tame. The captives Orang Asli slaves were sold off or given to local rulers and chieftains to gain their favor. Slaves trade soon developed and even continued into the present century despite the official abolition of all forms of slavery in 1884. The derogatory term Sakai is used to refer to the Orang Asli until the middle of the 20th century meant slave or dependent. Many of the elders Orang Asli still remember this sad period of their history, and they detest being called Sakai. 1. During the Malayan emergency of 1948 to 1960, the Orang Asli became a vital component of national security, as their help enabled the Malayan army to defeat the communist insurgents. 2. Administrative initiatives were introduced to highlight the importance of Orang Asli, as well to protect their identity. The Department of Aborigines was established in 1950, and the Aboriginal Peoples Ordinance was enacted in 1954. After independence, development of the Orang Asli became a prime objective of the government, and in 1961 a policy was adopted to integrate the Orang Asli into the wider Malaysian society. In the 1970s and 1980s, Malaysia experienced a period of sustained growth characterized by modernization, industrialization and land development, which resulted in encroachments on Orang Asli land. In response to this encroachment, the Orang Asli mobilized and formed the Peninsular Malaysia Orang Asli Association, which has given them a stronger voice and greater visibility. The Orang Asli are now known as Orang Kita following the introduction of the One Malaysia concept by Najib Razak. Economy. Orang Asli living in remote forest areas engaged in some trading with the Malays, with jungle produce being exchanged for salt, knives and metal axe heads. There was also evidence of trade in blowpipes and blowpipe bamboo among certain tribes. It has also been shown that the Orang Asli have played a significant role in the Malay Peninsula's economic history as collectors and primary traders as early as the 5th century AD. An early 19th century report also tells of Negritos providing forest products as tribute to the Malay chiefs of the river basins they resided in. 2. Demography. In 2000, the Orang Asli comprise only 0.5% of the total population in Malaysia. Their population is approximately 148,000. The largest group are the Senoi, constituting about 54% of the total Orang Asli population. The Proto-Malays form 43%, and the Semang forming 3%. The poverty rate among Orang Asli is 76.9%. In addition to this high rate, the Statistics Department of Malaysia has classified 35.2% of the population as being hardcore poor. The majority of Orang Asli live in rural areas, while a minority have moved into urban areas. In 1991, The literacy rate for the Orang Asli was 43% compared to the national rate of 86% at that time. They have an average life expectancy of 53 years. A high infant mortality rate is also evident with 51.7 deaths per 1,000 births. Languages. The division of Orang Asli into three categories is not due to linguistic differences but is merely sociological. Linguistically they divide into two groups. The first group speak Aslian languages, which form part of the Austroasiatic language family. These are further divided into the Jahaic languages, Sinoic languages, Semelic languages, and Jahat. The languages which fall under the Jahaic language subgroup are the Chequang, Jahai, Baitk, Kensayu, Kintak, and Mdrik languages. The Lano language, Temya language, and Semai language fall into the Sinoic language subgroup. Languages that fall into the Semelic subgroup include the Semeli language, Samokberi language, and Bisisi language. The second group speak Aboriginal Malay languages, which form part of the Austronesian language family. These include the Chakum and Temuan languages among others. Besides these, most Orang Aslis are fluent in the Malay language, the official language of Malaysia. Lifestyle and religion. Orang Asli are traditionally animists, where they believe in the presence of spirits in various objects. However, in the 21st century, many of them have embraced monotheistic religions such as Islam and Christianity following some active state-sponsored dakwah by Muslims, and evangelism by Christian missionaries. In June 2007, an Orang Asli church was allegedly torn down by the government in Glai Musang, Kelantan. As of 2008, a suit has been filed against the authorities. The affected Orang Asli also sought a declaration under Article 11 of the Constitution of Malaysia that they have the right to practice the religion of their choice and to build their own prayer house. Negritos of Peninsular Malaysia. According to the Encyclopedia of Malaysia, the Negritos, who number approximately 2,000, are regarded as the earliest inhabitants of the Malay Peninsula. They are of Australo-Melanesian affinity and probably descend from the people of Hoban cultural period, with many of their burials found dating back 10,000 years ago. They speak the Aslian languages which is part of the Austroasiatic language family, as do their Senowai agriculturalist neighbours. Negritos belong to various subgroups, namely the Kensayu, Kintak, Lano, Jahai, Mdrik and Baitk. Those from Perak, Kedah and Pahang are also known as Sakai. The meaning of Sakai is debt slaves, while those from Kelantan and Terengganu were called Pangan, the forest peoples. The Senowai and Proto-Malay arrived much later, probably during the Neolithic period. Social and legal status. The government agency entrusted to oversee the affairs of the Orang Asli is the Jabatan Halaiwal Orang Asli. This body is under the Malaysian Ministry of Rural Development, and it was first set up in 1954. Among its stated objectives are to eradicate poverty among the Orang Asli, improving their health, promoting education, and improving their general livelihood. There is a high incidence of poverty among the Orang Asli. In 1997, 80% of all Orang Asli lived below the poverty line. This ratio is extremely high compared to the national poverty rate of 8.5% at that time. Some legislations which concerns Orang Asli are the National Land Code 1965, Land Conservation Act 1960, Protection of Wildlife Act 1972, National Parks Act 1980, and most importantly the Aboriginal Peoples Act 1954. The Aboriginal Peoples Act 1954 provides for the setting up and establishment of the Orang Asli Reserve Land. However, the Act also includes the power accorded to the Director General of the JHEOA to order Orang Asli out of such reserved land at its discretion, and award compensation to affected people, also at its discretion. A landmark case on this matter is in the 2002 case of Sagung bin Tasiandals v Karajan Negeri Selangor. The case was concerned with the state using its powers conferred under the 1954 Act to evict Orang Asli from gazetted Orang Asli reserve land. The High Court ruled in favour of Sagung Tasi, who represented the Orang Asli, and this decision was upheld by the Court of Appeal. The Orang Asli are classified as Bumiputras, a status signifying indigeneity to Malaysia which carries certain social, economic, and political rights, along with the Malays and the natives of Sabah and Sarawak. However, this status is generally not mentioned in the constitution. The former Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, made controversial remarks regarding the Orang Asli, saying that Orang Asli were not entitled more rights than Malays even though they were natives to the land. He posted on his blog comparing the Orang Asli in Malaysia to Native Americans in the US, Maoris in New Zealand, and Aboriginals in Australia. He was criticized by spokespeople and advocates for the Orang Asli who said that the Orang Asli desired to be recognized as the natives of Malaysia and that his statement would expose their land to businessmen and loggers. References. Further reading, Orang Asli Now, The Orang Asli in the Malaysian Political World, Roy Jumper. Power and Politics, The Story of Malaysia's Orang Asli, Roy Jumper. 1. Malaysia and the Original People, pages 21. Robert Denton, Kirk Endicott, Alberto Gomez, M.B. Hooker, Encyclopedia of Malaysia, Volume 4, Early History, pages 46. Edited by Nick Hassan Shah Haimi Nick Abdul Rahman. Abdul Rashid, Emma B. H. Jamal Jafar, Antan, CB3 Studies on the Orang Asli in Ulu Perak. Pulau Pinang, Perpustakaan University Sains Malaysia. Lim, Channing the Sociocultural Significance of Semak Berry Food Classification. Unpublished Master Thesis. Kuala Lumpur, University Malaya. Lim, Channing an Anthropologist in the Rainforest, Notes from a Semak Berry Village. Kuala Lumpur, Mentor Publishing, ISBN 978-983-3941-88-9. Myranti, Edith. The Wind in the Bamboo, Journeys in Search of Asia's Negrito Indigenous Peoples. Bangkok, Orchid Press. Pogadave, V. Aborigine v Malaysia, Integratsia ilia Similiatsia? Asia I Africa Sigodna. Moscow, Russian Academy of Science, N2, 2008, pages 36-40 ISSN 0321-5075. External links. Malaysian Orang Asli Foundation, Peninsular Malaysia Orang Asli Graduates Association, Department of Orang Asli Affairs Jabatan Hal Ihwal Orang Asli, JHEOA Centre for Orang Asli Concerns, Perak Orang Asli Foundation, Malaysian Orang Asli Foundation.